For me, it really felt like a slap in the face. The first time I did it, I was like, oh wait.
Frankly speaking, I had the same experience when I did the first workshop. It was so much fun, but it was imposter syndrome hit me.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my goodness, I don't know so many things.
We really see the participants and feel the energy.
Yeah.
In the beginning, they tend to be a bit like, ugh, 3 hours, what are we gonna do for all this time?
Yeah.
And then they understand that it's a game, so they get excited.
Yeah.
Slowly they understand the impacts and the consequences, and we feel really during the workshop the energy.
The first part of the workshop, when they complete the game, that's when they're most surprised, because they see all the connections and they see it in a way that they probably have never seen it before. So I think this is really the aha moment, because they see everything connecting together. And that surprises even, yes, the most experienced people, because
This is something that we discuss in the workshop about how we each have a role in this. You know, companies have a role, individuals, participants have a role, and governments have a role. So we all need to take action. And the fact that we go and we try to reach as many audiences as possible is, you know, working towards that and getting everyone to understand that they have.
anyone can become a facilitator. The number one criteria is
So how many workshops have you done till date?
To date,
Yeah.
I think around
Table which I facilitated, the lady was so adamant that she's going to go vegetarian.
Oh yes.
And one of them was like, I am not going to drive my car, I'll be coming by public transport.
In our workshops, we don't recommend taking such drastic actions. I have one person that I'm thinking about now. It's a friend who was really resistant to do the workshop, to participate. And she did it a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And she came out of there with... It's so different from a normal conference where a scientist is telling you about what they found or the numbers or the... Yeah, exactly. Or yes, those movies where you see, oh my God.
What if I told you there's a climate workshop where people play with cards, laugh, connect deeply with each other, and leave feeling empowered instead of overwhelmed? By the end of this episode, you'll find out how to bring this transformative experience to your own community or jump in yourself. I can personally promise you this is such a fun way to understand how we as everyday people can make a real climate impact through right awareness and very simple actions. Now, I am a facilitator too, though I'm just a yellow belt, nowhere near the expertise of my incredible green belt guests. You might wonder what these belts are. You will understand it soon. Hang on. Today, I have Corona Fontana, who combines her passion for sustainability with her digital marketing, procurement, and international business background, and Mia Tahan, who brings her absolutely infectious energy for climate education. These two powerhouses are here to show you why Climate Fresk is creating climate champions everywhere. So let's dive in. Hi Mia, hi Corona. I have some wonderful memories with both of you. You were my facilitator during COP28. That's when I got to experience Climate Fresk workshop, and it was so much fun, and I became a facilitator eventually. And for you, I think I saw one reel on social media where I was so impressed by the way you were speaking and so passionately explaining Climate Fresk. It was during a conference in COP28, I think.
Oh yes. Yes.
And
thank
that
you.
just stayed with me. I mean, it was so impressive. So I'm so
you.
happy to have you both here. So as green belt facilitators, you will get to know what these belts are and how you can be a facilitator too by the end of the episode. So keep watching. So as green belt Climate Fresk facilitators, what was your personal journey that led you to become deeply involved with Climate Fresk?
Thank you for having us, Pallavi. So for me, it's been a few years. I was really interested in the topic of sustainability. It's a topic that came in and out for me in my working life and so on. And one day I stumbled into the Climate Fresk. I saw an invitation for something about climate change, and I wasn't very clear, to be honest. And but the day I participated came the opportunity to become a facilitator, and I was immediately convinced that I wanted to share the message further. And so that's where it started. almost 3.5 years ago. And it's not stopped since, and only growing from there.
Lovely. Very nice. How about you?
Yes, thank you, Pallavi, for having us. It's lovely to be here. For me, it was around 2021 when I was in Paris. I was studying my master's degree. And it was really around the time where, the Climate Fresk started. It was a French initiative. It started in Paris. And it was really the time where it was really bubbling and everyone was hearing about it, especially those who were in that sector. And my degree was really, going in that direction of sustainability and how do we rethink our the way that we do things, our industries, everything. And so all of my colleagues and I from the degree, we wanted to participate. It was during COVID, so we had an online workshop. But for me, it really felt like a slap in the face.
Yes.
The first time I did it, I was like, oh wait, I thought I knew so much about this topic, and actually... Okay, and it really felt like a powerful tool to really spread the message, as Corona said, and, make sure that people understand what is at play, what are the risks, all of that. So, yeah. And then I became a facilitator a year later. I moved to Dubai and I joined Alex, Corona, Mireille, the whole team who were already facilitating here.
Yeah.
Great.
That's lovely. And frankly speaking, I had the same experience when I did the first workshop. It was so much fun, but it was imposter syndrome hit me.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my goodness, I don't know so many things about, what happens in the environment. I thought I knew so much, but I didn't know anything. How things are interconnected and, how it really works. So yes, so for listeners who have never heard of Climate Fresk before and think climate education is so boring and sometimes overwhelming, some people really run away when they hear about climate change. They don't want to face the fact or they don't want to, know more. How would you describe this workshop in a way that captures both its educational power and the surprisingly enjoyable experience?
I'd say that the whole game was built around the idea of being engaging. So that's one of the main goals, is to really engage the participants and make sure that we capture their attention. Because it's such an important topic, it's so important that we all understand. And indeed, when you're listening to a conference and you're passively sitting there and taking in the information, it tends to just leave your brain very quickly. And here, what Cédric, the creator, was trying to do is really create a visual experience, because the first part of the game, where you understand what the problem is, what climate change is done through a card game, where each card, as you know, is a part of climate change. And the goal is, in teams of 7, to place the cards in the right order from cause to consequence. And so this aspect already, this first half of the workshop, is super engaging. It really puts you, as a participant, you're really active in the learning experience and in the understanding. You're playing together, you're collaborating to find the right connections, to understand each concept. In the cards, there's a back where we have some explanations. So this really adds a lot of information and understanding of how to do all of that. And yeah, I'd say all the steps are really made to be engaging.
Yeah, and it's like it's a game, so it sometimes there's competition as well. Who is going to guess the right answer? So it's kind of fun as well. What parts of the Climate Fresk workshop tend to surprise participants the most, even those who consider themselves well informed about environmental issues?
So I would say when they see the first part of the workshop, the game part of it, when they complete the game, that's when they're the most surprised, because they see all the connections and they see it in a way that they probably have never seen it before. So I think this is really the aha moment, because they see everything connecting together, and an explanation, and that surprises even the most experienced people, because they don't see it that way in their day-to-day work or in their experience.
Absolutely. And I think for me it was the sea, how the sea level is increasing. So that was something which was quite a surprising fact for me.
I think, as Corona was saying, we tend to have bits of information here and there. We tend to know some aspects. or a lot about different aspects, but we don't necessarily connect everything together. And that's one of the things that surprise people, as Karuna was saying. And there's a lot of nuance.
Yeah.
Because it's a scientific topic, it's, you know, we're talking about the physics of the planet and what's happening on the planet, and that's really complex.
Yes.
The fact that it's broken down is very helpful. The fact that it's a bit simplified. And at the same time, you still have a lot of nuance. You know, you realize that there's, for example, different types of ice on the planet. There's different things happening at the same time, which have different effects. And sometimes it's effects that are a bit contradictory in your mind.
Yes.
But once you see all those connections, it really makes it really clear. So I think that's one of the strengths as well, is that it clarifies a lot of complexity.
Absolutely.
And you're able to talk with nuance in the workshop.
And it really shows how everything is so interconnected. Every action we do is literally affecting probably the oceans, which is quite surprising. Otherwise, you would never think it in that way, right? That is great about Climate Fresk.
So yes, one time I had a scientist doing research on climate change and agriculture come to my workshop, and it was amazing to see that he found it very eye-opening, the way the workshop is set up, and especially the way the story goes, the way the game is set up from start to end. He had not seen it that way. So he found it very useful. And in fact, he had brought his son to the workshop so that he would learn a bit more about climate change, because himself, he didn't know how to explain it to his son in an easy way.
Yeah, so a scientist found it so useful and easy to understand.
This is one of the strengths of the workshop, is that it's all the cards are simplified and accessible, but they're all based on very scientific data, or very scientific. It's based on the IPCC report. And the IPCC report is a 3,000 to 5,000 page long report. So it's huge.
Yes.
And for those who are courageous enough, go for it. But those reports are written by scientists from all around the world. They come together and they agree on what this report will say based on lots of scientific data that's measured around the world. The idea is to be as unbiased as possible, give the most accurate scientific explanations for what's going on, and assess the situation. And as a note as well, this is the report that's used by governments to implement policies about climate change in countries, you know. So it's really the report that we reference on this topic. And so all of the cards, all of the data, all of the graphs that you see in a Climate Fresk are taken from this report and based on all the information that's there. So we really try to be as close to the science as possible so that people can have the most accurate information.
Absolutely. It's amazing how that, you know, such a thick, big report, complex graphs are so simplified into a card game, which any common person can understand. That's amazing about Climate Fresk as a tool for any common person to understand climate change and its implications, right? So beyond the knowledge gained, what emotional or psychological shifts do you typically see in the participants from the beginning to the end of a workshop? Because you all have facilitated so many workshops. I'm sure you must have seen that shift in people's emotions and...
Yeah, definitely. I think because of the way that the workshop was designed, so we start with that card part, but then we talk about emotions, because when we get to the end of the cards, we understand the impact on humans, on us. So it can be really heavy. So we talk about how that makes us feel. It's very important to understand how we can use those emotions and process these emotions. And then we talk about solutions and actions. So the way that the workshop was designed was for us to go through an emotional curve. So it's called the grief curve. It's something that we go through whenever we hear about a shocking news. And this is one instance. So when you understand what's going on with climate change, it can be a lot. And so you go through that curve of understanding, and then maybe depression, sadness, and very quickly you don't want to feel sad anymore. So you try to come out, and that's where we use the solutions part to get out of of that feeling of sadness, and start taking action and integrate the solutions. And so I think there's also power in that. We really see the participants and feel the energy. In the beginning, they tend to be a bit like, 3 hours, what are we gonna do for all this time? And then they understand that it's a game, so they get excited, and then slowly they understand the impacts and the consequences, and so we feel really during the workshop the energy being very low after the card part. But don't worry, we're here to we're here to make sure you come out, and we have many steps that take the participants and help them come out of that curve and integrate basically the actions and the solutions and understand how they can have a real impact. Because this is something that's really missing, I think, is we understand that it's a huge topic, but we don't necessarily understand our power. But we have a lot of power to act.
Absolutely. Yeah, true. And I think during that phase when we discuss about emotions, it's quite interesting to see the varied emotions people have.
I would add also that the workshop was created with the head, heart, hands methodology. And this is a way to try to engage as much as possible. Again, it's all these different parts.
What is it?
So actually it's a way to engage your body completely. The head represents the logic part with the cards. So you're understanding in a logical way, this is the cause, this is the consequence. So you're using your head. Then when we talk about emotions, we're using our hearts. We're calling on that emotional capacity to process the information and really understand it from that emotional perspective. And then we talk about solutions and actions that we can take with our hands. So that's why head, heart, hands.
Oh, nice.
To engage you fully and get you to process all of this information in many different ways.
That's nice. As someone who facilitates these workshops myself, I have seen how this collaborative nature brings people together in the most beautiful way. So how have you experienced these workshops, creating connections between diverse groups of people around climate action? Because I think you have dealt with people all around the world. So I'm sure you must be having some wonderful stories to share.
So already here in Dubai, in the UAE, in Dubai, we have such diverse community and diverse population that happens automatically in a lot of our workshops. We see people bringing in experiences from different countries, different parts of the world. So that's one side of diversity that we see, very diverse ideas, solutions even. So that is very interesting. Also, we have a diverse population participating in terms of age. So we often do workshops for a lot of age groups. So we do also schools. So with schools, universities, you have already a different thought process. The younger children are surprisingly as what solutions and ideas that they have, and sometimes very, very mature at times, and very full of ideas and concern and energy to do something. And then we have, different groups, older teenagers, university students, and then people from all different situations or background. So we do a lot of workshops with companies, and obviously again that's a different mix, a different background and a different interest in there. And we try to connect also with both their environment, whether it's a personal or a professional environment, school environment.
Right. So be it corporate or a school or just their personal lives.
Exactly.
I'd say that when we go to universities and companies and organizations where it's one person who is organizing for a group of people, for a big group, we tend to reach people who are not necessarily interested in the topic, who don't know much, who don't research it themselves. And this is great because they're the ones who are the most surprised or who are learning a lot during the workshop. And so it's great when we're able to reach these people, especially when they're open to understanding. Then we really see a shift during the workshop of their point of view, and wow, I didn't understand. I didn't know that it was going to be this bad, or that the impact was really on us. I thought that it was just. We tend to think that it's far away,
True.
So reaching those people is great.
Yes, exactly. Even like I felt when we did the Fresk in some schools, the teachers were amazed to know that the interconnection between different things. And being teachers, they always felt that, they feel, I didn't know this. I would really like to understand more so they can educate the children. their students. And I really saw that stark shift from when the workshop starts to the end. They start taking, the table which I facilitated, the lady was so adamant that she's going to go vegetarian.
Oh, yes.
And one of them was like, I am not going to drive my car, I'll be coming by public transport. So it was amazing to see this transformation in just those 3 hours.
Yeah. I think it does reach people in the heart because we're
Yes.
talking about emotion, and we give them a lot of orders of magnitude. I think this really helps bring all of that scientific information close to home, We in our workshops, we don't recommend taking such drastic actions.
You can't just shift from being a non-vegetarian to a vegetarian.
Exactly.
Right?
So we don't promote necessarily doing such a drastic shift because we don't think that on the long term you can sustain that.
Yeah.
It's really about being sustainable, doing something on the long term that we can sustain. So it's about taking little steps and understanding that these little steps have an impact and these little decisions have an impact. So we don't need to become vegan or vegetarian. We don't need to stop, sell our cars or something, but we do need to understand that we have an impact and we can do little things.
Yes, absolutely. That's very well said. So what tangible actions have you seen participants take after attending a Climate Fresk workshop that demonstrates its effectiveness, as a catalyst to change?
Yes, I've seen. So you said some people made decisions, and I've seen people that maybe took their time after the workshop. I've seen them over a few months later, a year later, and that then started making those little steps, as you said, Mia. And those little steps were becoming much bigger because they were almost becoming vegetarian, but they were very convinced by then. And for example, or they were making other changes in their lifestyles. But yes, we have seen case by case. We usually don't get to see all the participants afterwards, so we don't get to follow up with every one of them. But we do see it occasionally, which makes us very, very happy to see that understanding has reached a deeper place, let's say.
Yes, true.
Yeah, and I think the workshop is also it's also a way to launch people on their journey, especially talking about those who are not. It's not a topic that interests them.
Yeah.
It's a great way to get them started on their journey to, open the eyes and get them to be conscious of their impact, the impact of climate change on their lives. So it's understanding all of this is really the goal, and the main goal. And then if we're able to trigger some action, if we're able to get people excited about the topic, get interested in understanding more, that's already a lot for us. It's great. And I'd say also when we see people becoming facilitators, then we're really excited about that.
Yeah.
Because your journey as a facilitator, maybe we can talk about it after, but it really helps you build even more knowledge.
Yes.
This is something that I experienced. As every workshop, I learn a bit more.
Absolutely.
Every industry, I learn a bit more. So it's a great way also to,
Absolutely.
move forward.
Yeah, as you said, every workshop, it's like something you're learning new. And there's so much of... and it's so interesting. Frankly speaking, it's not boring to understand the science behind it. It is so interesting. And the Climate Fresk has such interesting resources, which makes you want to understand more. So what types of groups or organizations have you found benefit most from hosting Climate Fresk workshops?
I think
of course, it is for everybody, right from schools to corporates. But is there an advantage to certain kind of groups where it could be a value addition or, works as a CSR or...
Yeah, I do think for companies it has a huge value because one, they have a huge opportunity to make a change or to make improvements or work on their CSR. There are big groups with generally, and not always, but with potentially some either capability to act on climate change. And therefore, I think that's a great opportunity for them to get involved, to understand the Climate Fresk or to participate in the Climate Fresk. All the groups benefit in some way or another, but that one is one that has a very broad impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is something we discuss in the workshop about how we each have a role in this. Companies have a role, individuals, participants have a role, and governments have a role. So we all need to take action. And the fact that we go and we try to reach as many audiences as possible is, working towards that and getting everyone to understand that they have the ability to act. Even though we have different levels of power and influence, we're still able to influence one person. That's already such a huge change. So absolutely, I mean, there are lots of benefits to do it with everyone.
Yeah, true. And I think, as you both rightly said, when it comes to big corporates, you are influencing more people. And these are adults who could again go and influence their family members. So I think we're reaching a larger audience, right? But of course, it is for everyone. This is my personal opinion. I think the impact is more when we do it in these corporates.
Well, obviously, if a company or a government or a certain group has a lot of power to act or has a big carbon footprint or has a big impact, then obviously if they start taking action, then for sure the emissions will go down. But we have to keep in mind that companies are catering to individuals. People are buying their product or their service, and so we have to really think of this as an interconnected issue. If one of us doesn't move forward, the others can't either.
Absolutely.
So we really need to work all together at scale. I mean, the government here is already planning for some ambitious, CO2 emission targets and, changing the way that we do things in the country. So we need to make sure that the companies are aware, the companies are following these targets, that people understand why we're going towards this and how they can also add to that.
Absolutely.
So it's really a dance where we have to all move forward together so we can really achieve something.
Yeah.
I would say it's also just to add to this, we are also doing it with government, in fact, so that they are getting the education. So government also very important, as we said, that they have a place to play, as so do companies and individuals, And also, we also see for university students, for example, they're starting in their life, and therefore it's a great opportunity for them to take on good habits before they have maybe purchased a house, before they have a home, or as they start to have a new home, then take new habits and so on.
And even for their career path, it can be, I mean, this is what happened to me. I was studying and then I said, actually, I can't, I was studying design. So I was like, okay, I can't actually make more products. It's not something that I want to contribute to. So maybe I can question my career path. It's not for everyone, but it's also when we reach university students and we reach people who are maybe studying marketing, maybe studying business or science or whatever path that they're taking, they can integrate this because it's part of everything that we're doing. It's part of all of our lives and all industries and all sectors. So if we're all aware, and especially in the beginning of our careers, then we can really integrate that as part of our jobs and our companies.
Exactly. And you are an example of that. So for listeners who might be hesitant to attend, because I have seen many, people, women especially, they feel they don't know much about climate science or climate change. So they don't feel eligible to take this workshop. What do you want to tell about that? Do they need any experience of or some knowledge level to take this workshop? Anybody?
Honestly, I think no. The workshop, we have different versions of it. So obviously as facilitators, part of our job is to adapt to the audience.
Right.
So we have information about the audience beforehand. We know that if their age group is specifically, if they're teenagers or kids, we adapt the workshop accordingly. If they're adults in a specific industry, we adapt, So we're really adapting to the audience, and the game was made to be accessible to everyone or as many people as possible. And it goes from the idea that the basics of a water cycle, a bit about how the greenhouse effect works. If you know these building blocks, there's no issue. You will learn a lot during the workshop. Depending on who you are and your knowledge level, you will learn more or less.
Yes.
But to play the game, to understand, you really don't need anything specifically. You don't need any degree. You don't need any background, any experience. It's really made to engage as many people as possible.
Yeah. So there's no pre-qualification to play this game.
No.
It's just for everyone of all ages.
All ages, yeah. We have a junior version from 10 to 13 years old.
Yeah.
And then from 14 to 17, 18, we tend to play the simplified version, where we remove some of the more complex concepts that they might not have studied yet. But for anyone who has, gone through high school, gone through school, some kind of curriculum, there's no issue to play the full, adult version.
Yeah. And if I remember, I think there was some workshops conducted even for the labor, and that to in their regional language for them to understand, right?
Yes.
So that shows that it is so
absolutely
accessible to anybody, and it can be adapted in any language.
This was a beautiful project actually that we did last year. It was really inspiring, it was really exciting, because we worked with the French Association, because there are some rules when you are a facilitator. You can't really just adapt it as you wish. So this was in collaboration with the French association called Climate Fresk in France, to adapt the workshop to the specific population. And we saw the game. We kind of tried to keep the main building blocks, the main ideas that will help them understand what's going on. Because the most important thing is understanding why you need to take action. And understanding how it will affect you. If you want to go deeper in the science, you can. And there is a lot of complexity. But if you understand those main building blocks, it's already amazing. And so we really worked. And we were very careful on making sure that we're doing this properly. We adapted the cards, and we translated with another facilitator, Halima. We translated the card in Malayalam.
Oh wow!
And we translated in Hindi as well with Shivani.
Wonderful.
And they both delivered this, and it was really such a nice project and a way to engage even more people in a different population in Dubai. So.
That's amazing.
It was really wonderful.
So, if you could share one compelling reason why someone should either attend or organize a Climate Fresk workshop, what would it be?
I would say it is one of the huge challenges that we're going to face in the next, we are facing today, and we are going to face for a foreseeable future. So yes, it is an important topic to discuss today. It comes out in many discussion, in many topics, in the news, even in obligations in terms of SDG. So it's a topic that comes out in many corporate obligations, such as SDGs and reporting and so on. But until you cannot work on those if you don't understand. And therefore, this is so important to enable an organization or even students. They need it so that they can do their projects. They can further their education in whatever topic they do, because today it touches on businesses, engineering, design, as Mia said. It touches on so many topics that it is very, very relevant. So I think in terms of compelling reason, that's one. Second, we make it easy to talk about this topic by making it a game, by making it enjoyable and interactive and collaborative.
Lovely.
I'd say it's indeed a great way to engage people, and because we have people from all around the world with different levels of experience with the topic, with different levels of knowledge, it really helps you speak the same language. So if you're working in an organization, in an NGO, in a government entity, in a company, wherever you are, whatever group you're part of, this is a great way to engage everyone and make sure that you can have a conversation where everyone is at the same, has the same, at least a minimum of information, and agree on the problems so that we can start discussing what we can do.
Absolutely. Yeah, great. So, and can people become facilitators themselves? And what is the eligibility? And can you explain what the different belts are? We did mention they both are green belt facilitators. So what are these belts?
So yes, anyone can become a facilitator. The number one criteria is having participated in a workshop first. So participate in a workshop, and then we will offer to any participants to become a facilitator. Facilitation requires a training. It's not a very long training. It's 3-4 hour training. And then there is some documentation to be able to further your knowledge. So yes, becoming a facilitator is not very complicated, and you get experience by doing it.
Yeah,
That's it.
nice.
And so we'll encourage, and we have in the UAE, we have an amazing community of facilitators, and we help each other to get ready.
Very
yes,
nice.
absolutely. I'd add that the Climate Fresk is now reaching more than 2.1 million people globally. So this is quite an exciting number.
Yeah.
In the UAE, we've reached 12,000, almost 13, I think. We're not very far. On top of that, I mean, to be able to reach all of these numbers, this is also, again, part of the way that the workshop was made. It was made to be easy to implement, easy to do anywhere. You just need a table, your participants, your cards, and you can go for it.
Yes.
And because we want to reach as many people as possible, then one of the goals is also to get people trained to be facilitators and spread the workshop around them as well. So indeed, it's quite easy to start. I'd say that the difficulty is when you do your first workshop, it can be a bit scary after the training. So, but we are here, as Corona said, we have a big community in Dubai. Worldwide, I think we're reaching 100,000 facilitators, which is also a big number.
Amazing.
But in the UAE, I think we're close to 500 or maybe a bit more. And we're here. We have lots of experienced facilitators who are here to also help you in your journey and help you learn more.
Yeah. I started by co-facilitating.
Yeah.
So, and of course, I was also an observer. So there are many opportunities to observe the experienced facilitators and learn how they do it. And of course, when you're scared, you can co-facilitate with them, so you feel more confident about how you take it through.
Yeah.
So, but what are these belts? It's like the karate, black belt,
Yes,
white belt.
exactly. As you said, so when we do the training, we register your email. You get a account on the website where you can find lots of documentation, resources, things to understand how the workshop works.
Yes.
And once you're on the website, you get your white belt. That's the first step.
Yeah.
And then once you do your first workshop, you get your yellow belt.
Yeah.
Once you do your 15th workshop or 10th workshop, you get your orange belt.
Okay.
And now this is new. Starting from 20 workshops, you can start your journey towards the green belt.
Okay.
And this is where things shift a bit.
Okay.
Because the thing is, if you want to become a green belt, it's not just about going to the next level.
Okay.
It's also, you're going to become a trainer. So it means that you will deliver trainings and train
people
new
who want to become
to train new facilitators.
Okay.
And this is a big responsibility.
Yes.
We want to make sure that the science is staying accurate.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that the quality is maintained, that people are enjoying their time. There's lots of things to make sure about.
Yeah.
And so for that, you need to make sure that you have enough experience and that you are maintaining the quality as well.
Absolutely.
So when you become a green belt, you're kind of juggling all these things.
Yeah.
You're also showing a commitment to the association. And first and foremost, the mission is a volunteering mission, is to do as much as possible so that many people understand.
Yeah.
So there's all of these things that are part of being a green belt. It's a long journey. I think it took me around 2 years since I first started.
So how many workshops have you done till date?
To date?
Yeah.
I think around 90, maybe, something like that.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
90, wow. And how about you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Also.
Yeah.
Also 90.
That's a big number.
And we do this full time, so it's rather easy to get to a big number. So
and what is a blue belt? Beyond green belt, there's a blue.
Yeah. So the blue belts it's a level beyond green belt. You need more experience in the training.
Okay.
And you're more involved in the association, even more involved in the association.
Okay.
It's also some of your lifestyles, choices need to be relatively aligned to the association, to the Climate Fresk. And basically, they're helping guide the rest of the organization. So they're really in that role. It takes even a further level of a commitment. Again, you can make that commitment at any level, To be honest, you can make that commitment at any level. You don't need a certain level of belt for that. But that one requires a more formal commitment, let's say. No?
I agree. Maybe they're supporting as coaches, as you said, they're supporting everyone else as well, trying to move the community in the direction.
So they have a bigger responsibility.
Yeah, there is a level of responsibility added, absolutely. And then maybe one thing I forgot to mention, from orange to green belt, and then from green to blue, there are several steps.
Oh, is it?
Where beforehand it was, just a few more workshops that you do.
Okay.
From orange to green, you have to go through an interview, a few observations of you doing a workshop, then doing a training, then you need to observe a training. So there's lots of different steps that need to be validated by other belts. So it's really the orange to green is the most difficult step.
Okay.
But it's really to show, again, commitment. It's to show motivation. It's to show that you're, you want to move the project forward. So it's And there's no obligation to go to green belt.
Yeah.
The idea is really not to make it into a race or It's really to show commitment. It's really to get more involved with the community, with the larger community in the world, in France. So it's not a race. It's very good to be a dark orange belt, as we say.
So once somebody becomes a facilitator, it's a voluntary act, right? Like if they want to facilitate, they can.
Absolutely. So actually as a facilitator, when you start, we recommend to start with family or friends and test out your first workshop on them. But there's no obligation to do anything. It's really on a volunteering basis. If we have workshops where we need support, we will call you if you want to observe, co-facilitate. So it's really, once you become a facilitator, we add you to Telegram and WhatsApp groups.
Yeah.
And then you can see all of the different opportunities. Sometimes we do get-togethers. We have lots of different things that we do together. So you're really joining a community, but it really depends on how much you want to get involved.
Nice. And talking about voluntary, this organization is an NGO.
Yes.
A non-profit organization who is trying to spread the word about climate change.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as we wrap up, I'd love for each of you to share a story about a participant whose perspective you thought was transformed by the Climate Fresk experience in a way that still inspires you today.
Yes. So the thing is, we have a lot of, as you know, we've done a lot of workshops. There's a lot of different experiences that we keep in mind, I think.
Yeah.
I have one person that I'm thinking about now. It's a friend who was really resistant to do the workshop, to participate, because she had a background in this topic. She was studying it for a while, and she thought that it was really overwhelming, and we were always talking about the problem, and there was difficulty to act, and so she was really resistant to do the workshop, and she did it a few weeks ago, and she came out of there with sparkles in her eyes. She was so happy. She was so excited. She was saying that this is wonderful because it's so different from a normal conference where a scientist is telling you about what they found or the numbers or exactly. Or those movies where you see, oh my God, this is the end of the world.
And there's no point of doing anything.
Exactly. And in the workshop, we really avoid that. It's not about doomsday. It's really just about the facts. This is factually what will happen or what can happen. And this is what we can do. And she was saying the fact that we move on to what can we do about it, what actions can we implement, and when we give them orders of magnitude and help them understand what this means in their lives, it's really a different way of talking about the topic.
Exactly.
And so she was so excited, and now she wants to become a facilitator and join the community. So it's wonderful to see this kind of reaction.
That's a great end.
Yes.
A very and frankly speaking, Climate Fresk is so positive because it gives hope that everything is not ending, but we need to be aware that what is happening in the environment, and especially it is because of human actions. So I had a great conversation with both of you, and it's always fun facilitating workshops with you. So if someone wants to get in touch with you to organize a workshop or become a facilitator, how can they get in touch with you?
All right, so yes, we have a few ways, but you can already start by following us on LinkedIn or Instagram. We have on Climate Fresk UAE pages for both of them. And the other way is you can contact me or myself, and we'll have the contacts
Yes, I'll
under
link it in the description.
podcast.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.